Good morning. It's Lisa with Lisa Heal Yourself. And today I want to talk about how this coronavirus pandemic is similar to chronic illness. And we can relate to what's going on here in the world because everyone's in fear. Everyone's living in fear, right? Everyone's watching the TV. Everyone's scanning around them. Everyone's waiting for the news to flow in. Everyone's keeping their distance from other people. There's sort of a fear of socialization happening, and we're really wondering, like, do they have it? Can I catch it? How far back do I have to be? How much food do I have to have on hand? Like, is it safe to resume normal activity now? Is the pandemic passing? Can I now re-enter the world? Right? And so, as with anything, you almost need an exit plan for the whole coronavirus lockdown all over the world. Now, the way it relates to chronic illness is that when you are ill, you're sort of in the same space. When you've been chronically ill, you've been self-isolating. You've probably been self-isolating for years, right? So you're doing the same thing as this coronavirus already. It's probably not even affecting you because you're already social distancing. You already prefer to be socially distant. When you walk by people, you don't look in the eyes with them. You stand a little further away. You avert your eyes. You walk around. You keep your 6 feet apart in chronic illness. I mean, you do this naturally, right? You really start to become socially disconnected with the world when you have chronic illness. And you isolate, you self-isolate. And you also just basically try to keep yourself safe. But instead of a plan like, how much groceries should I get? Should I wear a mask? Should I not wear a mask? When is it safe to not wear a mask? When is it safe to not wear gloves? Is it okay to just go to the store now and wash my hands after? When is it okay to let my to visit a friend? When is it okay to visit a relative? When's it going to be okay to let my children play again? It's kind of like you're self-monitoring. But if you have chronic illness, you're doing this anyways. How are my symptoms today? What are they doing? Am I going to be safe? Am I going to be okay? Should I be doing this protocol? Should I be doing this diet? What is my plan? How am I going to heal this? Right? So it's very similar in nature. In the fact that if you've been chronically ill, just like with the coronavirus, if you keep isolating and you keep wearing your gloves and you keep wearing your masks and you keep stockpiling food for, 2 to 3 months at a time, eventually you need an exit plan. Eventually you either become very paranoid, everybody does of society, and the economy just halts and crashes and everything goes up in the air, right? Or you just continue to protect against the virus that is out there that could come and get you, the big boogeyman. And I'm not saying it's not real. It is real, just like chronic illness is real. You are not making this up. But at some point with chronic illness, you have to say, I've been doing this long enough and I have to live my life anyway, right? We have to restart the economy anyway. We have to restart our lives anyway. So you must get out. You must call people. You must start to be social again. This is for chronic illness, right? At some point, you must ignore the pain and start living your life anyway. You must abandon all these carefully laid plans to keep you safe and to keep everybody else safe, right? And to keep you protected, isolated, protected, self-contained. And you must eventually say, I might get the virus if I go out into the world, but I have to work. I might get the virus if I go out into the world, but I have to eat. I might get the virus if I go out into the world, but I need to be social. I need to visit my family and friends. I need to live. I need to be free. I need to travel. I need to be free, right? Eventually it's going to come to this, right? I know there's no exit strategy quite yet for the corona pandemic, just like there is not one for your own chronic illness. And that's the problem. It's just, we just continue to self-monitor, we continue to self-protect, we continue to self-isolate, we continue to know that there's a problem and symptoms, and we wait for somebody to hand us an exit plan instead of creating our own. So for chronic illness, what I'm suggesting is that you look at it step out of your box and look at it as if it was the corona pandemic. And just see like how the world has got to create an exit plan for this eventually, right? And it's never going to be perfect. It's never going to be better. Viruses spread, viruses move around. That is how viruses work. So it's not like we're going to eradicate this virus and then suddenly we can all just go back and live our life again. Just as it is not realistic to think that your chronic illness is just you're suddenly going to do or take the right protocol or do the right thing and it's just going to be gone and then magically you're going to go out and live your life again. No, you have to start before. So people, regardless that the coronavirus is still out there, people are going to have to start to re-enter the world, to have a new protocol, to have a new normal, but to get back to normal, to start their lives, to start their economy, to start their social lives, to connect again to the world, to be able to go out, to take back some of their freedoms. And this is going to happen collectively, and it's also going to happen individually. And there may be some exit strategies that fail, and then we have to re-isolate and then try again. But ultimately, people are going to, at their own pace, say, I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm mentally, emotionally, and spiritually ready to take this little step, to talk to my neighbor, to invite my mother-in-law over, to go back to work, to, instead of saving 3 months worth of food, to save 2 months worth of food or 1 month of food. So it's a matter of, we're kind of lessening the threat. And then eventually, at some point, we've got to either create a new normal, but a way to live again in the world and to be. And that's very similar to what you're going through right now. You've been isolating too long. You've been self-monitoring too long. You've been self-protecting too long. You've been stockpiling too long. You've been doing all the protocols too long. You've been doing everything that you can do and think of, so that it magically just disappears and then you can suddenly go out and live your life again. When in actuality, you need to start to push the walls, even though there's a real threat out there, even though you do have chronic illness, even though this is a real thing, even though it could be scary, even though it might not be, you might not be ready. You have to do it in spite of at some point when you've been living this for so long. Otherwise, what is the alternative? You will be in lockdown forever, right? That's the alternative for coronavirus. We'll be living like this forever. Or for chronic illness, you will be living in your lockdown of your own self-isolation, your own fear, and your own chronic illness forever. So you need to say, okay, maybe I need to take certain precautions when I go out into the world, but I'm still going out into the world. Maybe I need to eat this diet when I go out into the world, but I'm still going to go to the restaurant with my family. Maybe I feel vulnerable when I talk to people, but I'm still going to open up. Maybe, you have to find a way to live again. And before you're ready, before the threat is over, before the pandemic or the chronic illness has ended, we have to create this exit strategy for ourselves, and we literally have to do it today, because it's not going to go away waiting and seeing and letting all the other people decide and make the decisions for you when it's your chronic illness, right? This is the world's pandemic, so we're all in it together, but this is your chronic illness. So the responsibility lays with you, right? You're the president, you're the prime minister, you're the own CEO, and you alone have to make this decision. You have to decide when it's safe, when you can re-enter the world, and how your exit plan is going to be. And you want it to be a fully complete exit plan with your social life, with your finances, with your friends, with your loved ones, with your relationships, with your diet, with everything. And it might not work out perfectly at the beginning when you re-enter the world. It might be rocky. You might have to do some trial and error, right? But you have to go forward. You have to make this exit plan. You are your own president of your own chronic health issues, and we need, and you need, an exit strategy for the pandemic that has become your life around this chronic illness. So I hope that you got something out of this video. I hope that you relate to it in some way, and I hope that you see that the alternative is just being stuck forever in fear against something that is real, a real thing. But is that the way you want to live forever? And if it's not, then you need to start your exit strategy, and sometimes you need to move before you're ready. You need to take steps, and you need to risk it, because on the other side could be potentially a whole life and a whole freedom and a whole adventures and a whole amazing relationships and lifestyle and, you know, everything that could await you on the other side. And yes, I get it. We want to protect ourselves, but at what cost, right? At what cost? So I hope you realize that at this point, the cost is too high. And so I hope you've gotten something out of this video, and I will see you in the next video.